Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled Have You Tried Rebooting It? I work in IT and I did a 2-year stint helping support software in-house. 7 years after that company riffed me and 4 years after it folded completely I had a call on my personal cell for support of this software. Just for clarity, I have no idea how they got my cell number. Conversation was epic though. Them. Hey, this is person from place. Can I speak to Tosser 88899? Me. Yeah, that's me. Them. Great, we are in need of support for a legacy product called software I used to support, and we have tried calling the vendor but the number has changed. Me. Yeah, they went under years ago. And they laid me off 7 years ago. How did you get my number? Them. Ignoring my question, well, we have a support contract for this software so we need you to give us support. Me. No you don't, company went under and I don't work there. Now at this point the conversation was getting tense, and since I knew they were lying about the service contract I decided to try to pull the plug. Them. Well, we were going to do a T&M, so can you? Me. Nope. Can't help you and honestly no one else can either. Try rebooting it and have a nice day. Click. Important to mention, I did not hang up on this person. I did get a call from another former coworker who said the same company tried it with him too. We both had a good laugh. Now to head off any follow-ups, no, I wasn't willing to do the T&M myself. That would have created a crapload of extra paperwork for me, or possible legal issues if they offered to pay me under the table. Honestly, they should have migrated off the platform years earlier. The next story is titled I Don't Know If They Have Baskets. Today I went to do some shopping for a birthday present for a sibling and to get some books. I got everything on my list done pretty quickly, so I chose to take my time looking through the manga and comics section of Barnes & Noble. I noticed a family was having trouble finding what they were looking for, so I popped in to help them, and moved along with my shopping. The family later came back to me with some questions, and I struck up a small conversation. I finished up helping them get what they needed, and they moved to check out. Suddenly another person walks up holding a large stack of books, and asks me whether they have baskets for people who went a little overboard. I quickly realized that in helping out the other family, I was now being mistaken for an employee. I chuckled to myself for a moment before telling her that I didn't know, and after a small pause, I mentioned, I'm also not an employee. She looked a little surprised for a second, but then laughed it off, apologized, and went off to either find a basket or check out. I guess my story is far more relaxed and happy than most of the others here, but I guess we all need a little reminder of that in this day and age. The next story is titled I Get Mistaken for an Employee at a Market. Not as dramatic as some of the others I've read about, and it was resolved very quickly. I work in tourism in South Africa. And one of my duties is to buy food and supplies for our staff and business. There is one market in our town that states that they sell fresh fruit and vegetables. But they sell much more than that. They also sell everything you can need. The fruit and veg are just their specialty. They also have a food takeout counter at the back of the store, where you can order food like pizza, hamburgers, Russians and chips, fries. Yes, we have a meal called Russians and chips. One of the nice things about this store is that if you have to buy something in bulk, you can just ask at the cashier, pay, and they will get someone to get the in bulk product for you. They even help load your car. So I just bulked ordered maize meal for our staff, and I already paid. They are a bit busy that day, so they were taking longer than usual. Which wasn't a problem, since this was my last errand for the day. So I just waited for the maize meal to arrive at the entrance to the store listening to an audiobook. Suddenly I got tapped on my shoulder and I took my headphones off to see who tapped me on my shoulder. And I saw this very angry man, AM, shoving a box of chips, fries, in my face. AM. You forgot to add salt to my chips. Me. I'm sorry that happened, but I don't work here. And before he could respond, one of the owners came over and gently led the AM to the fast food counter to get his salt. My bulk order arrived soon after. That was the first and only time someone mistook me for an employee to a place I didn't work at. The next story is titled Would Like Your Fries Extra Crispy? This happened to my dad a few weeks ago and I have been dying to share it because this never happened to him before. My dad works for a company that helps with rebuilding after a fire or natural disaster. A few weeks ago a local restaurant caught on fire. Thankfully it was after hours and no one was hurt. But there was no building left. Just a big pile of rubble. So my dad gets there a little after sunrise, he's talking with fire officials, there's caution tape everywhere. As my dad is working it's a little after 7 when this minivan just comes barreling through into the parking lot. The window rolls down, and I hate using the term, Karen, but that is exactly what she acted. Hey, I need 6 sausage and egg sandwiches, 3 English muffins, and a really complicated coffee order that only a Starbucks barista is capable of making stat. My dad, with all the patience of a saint, goes over to her car and says, "Ma'am, I don't know if you can see but there was a fire here." "I can see that. Some of that equipment must be salvageable." Proceeds to point non-existent kitchen and melted equipment. Dad considered for a moment. "So you want me, a contractor, to go into that pile of rubble and make you some breakfast? Is that you are saying?" "Well duh. Are you stupid?" "Ma'am, I'm beginning to think you're the stupid one." The lady tries to argue, but with his 60 years of wisdom just walked away and let one of his younger coworkers to deal with it. Dad said he heard shouting, turned around and the lady sped off, never to be heard from again. Throughout the day he did get people asking about the fire as the restaurant was a local favorite, but that was about it. In his 25 years of doing this that was his first Karen, pretty impressive if I do say so myself. The next story is titled "I Don't Care What You Are, You Can't Park in My Spot." I am a paramedic in a place that has some HOAs and apartment complexes. We hate responding to the apartment complexes because there is nothing but assigned parking and no fire zones. Basically, if we can't find a space to fit in, we have to block the road. My agency also uses first responder vehicles and ambulances. The first responder, as implied, usually arrives first, so we do our best to leave room for the ambulance to fit in. We get a call at the apartment complex I am in, the first responder. As I pull up to the address, by some miracle there is a spot only 2 apartments away. Great, I can leave the road clear for the ambulance. As soon as I park, out comes this guy screaming, "I can't park there." I do the "Are you serious" look, and just say "medical emergency." He says he doesn't care, I can't park there. Keep in mind my vehicle has enough lights to make a Xmas tree jealous. I just grab my stuff, lock the vehicle and keep going. He is screaming he is going to call the cops. I tell him they are already on the way, they respond to medical emergencies. Cop gets there while I am in with the patent and tells him basically to pound salt. The cop enters the apartment and then this guy really goes full-blown entitled. He enters the apartment, comes into the room where I am treating the patient. He starts ranting and raving how I have to move my vehicle. I look at the cop and say, "Get him out of here." The cop then seals his fate. She asks the patient if she wants this person removed from the apartment and did she ever give consent for him to enter. The patient's response, "Get him the duck out, he's trespassing." Boom, the all clear. The cop gives him one last chance and tells him to leave or he will be arrested. He doubles down, "I am on the wallboard, I can go where I please." At this point backup is called. The cop at least manhandles him out of the room. The ambulance arrives with PD backup and they get him out of the apartment so we can safely remove the patient. Not entirely sure what happened next as I was in the back of the ambulance, but when I got out one of the officers approaches and says, "Sorry, but we need another bus." We had to tase him. Policy for PD is if they tase someone they have to be transported to the hospital by ambulance to the hospital, as the taser spikes have to be surgically removed due to the barbs on them. Wait for the second ambulance, they take him, I go back in service. Found out a few weeks later he was charged with trespassing, assaulting an officer, resisting arrest, interference with government administration, aka interfering with the scene of an emergency. All over a parking space that I would have been in for all of 20 minutes if he hadn't created problems. I can only assume he took a plea deal as I was never called to testify. The next story is titled Scout Service Stories. As a scout, I do service a lot and I really do it from the heart. But having a uniform makes people feel entitled to treat you like a common worker at their service. So I have a few too many "I don't work here" moments. Last March, there was a vaccination campaign, and I was with 5 more from my scout group in line. Long story short, vaccines ran out, and we decided to set camp and wait until the next morning shots. After talking to the nurse who gave the news, we decided to uniform up, and go tell the rest of the 10 kilometers line that they weren't vaccinating anymore. I got to this van and told the lady, sorry, vaccines ran out, they're going to resume tomorrow at whatever am, and she flat out get off her van, pushed me and told me that I couldn't do that to her because she had a trip to Disney and she needed to be at the airport the next day. Then, started ranting about me giving her and just her a shot, and that she would pay me for it, and just to skip the line. After she finally shut up, I told her I didn't work there and I was just doing everyone a favor because otherwise she would be waiting for a shot that would never come. She then resumed to scream about me not taking my job seriously, and at that point I just moved on down the car line because I wasn't getting paid and I was about to cry. The next story is titled A Literate Customer at Barnes & Noble Yells at Me because she doesn't know the difference between sci-fi and fantasy. This happened a few years ago when I was trying to get back into reading. High school and college kind of destroyed my love for the hobby by forcing me to read the classics. Some of them were good, a lot of them are outdated and boring, and as a person with ADHD, forcing me to read a 500-page book that I hated was agonizing. But, I've been an avid player of Dungeons & Dragons for a while, so I decided to try and rekindle the hobby by buying some fantasy books. I did some research before I went out to the store and had a short list of what I wanted to buy. Off to Barnes & Noble I went. Barnes & Noble, as I've learned, tends to lump sci-fi and fantasy together in the same section, but given I knew exactly what I was looking for, it didn't bother me much. I entered the aisle and already there was a frustrated-looking Karen with 2 books in her hands, looking between them. Not reading them, just staring perplexed at the covers. From a quick glance, she seemed to be about in her 70s with short gray hair, though the scowling pout on her face made her look like a petulant child. I must have seemed like I knew what I was doing. After all, I had come in already knowing what I wanted. It took about 30 seconds for me to quickly pick out the 3 books I wanted to try. But obviously that was not quick enough to avoid being flagged down. "Excuse me, young man," the Karen called after me, right before I was about to step out of the aisle. So close to avoiding this interaction. I work in customer service, though, so reflexively, I turned on the smile. "Yes, ma'am? Can't a woman get some help over here?" There's a slight pause and I'm about to tell her that I'll send an employee right over, but she continues talking. "I need some help picking out a gift for my grandson." I deflate a little bit, as I don't much like interacting with strangers, but this woman hasn't done anything rude yet, so I decide to try and be nice. "Well, what kind of book is he looking for?" "My grandson likes fantasy," she says. I take a look at the books in her hands, both of which are very clearly not fantasy as they both have spaceships on the front. For now, I keep the condescending tone out of my voice. "Me. I'm sorry, but both of those are sci-fi books." Karen. "Well, how was I possibly supposed to know that?" Me. "Well, anything with a spaceship or any kind of technology on the cover is a dead giveaway for starters." Karen. "My grandson says that sci-fi is stupid. I won't risk giving him some garbage story. You need to give me a fantasy book for my grandson." Me. "Look, ma'am. I don't work here. If you want a recommendation, I can." Karen. "Oh, that's bullcrap. You've been helping me already and now you're just trying to be lazy." I begin losing my patience. I deal with these types of people at my place of work, and I refuse to be nice to them outside of work. Me. "Well, here's an idea for you. How about you read the back of the book? You know, the little section that says what the book is about, instead of just staring at the covers." Karen. "How dare you talk back to me? It's not my job to know what the books are about, it's yours." Me. "Oh yeah, must be such a strain to read 5 sentences. You definitely need to have people do that for you. Or hell, why not just Google popular fantasy books? You have a phone, don't you?" At this point the Karen is red in the face. Karen. "I'm not going to spend my time on reading this nothing genre. I only waste my time on books of substance. I just want a gift for my grandson." Me. "Like I said, Google fantasy books and pick a random title if you're so averse to reading." Karen. "What does averse mean? Use words that people can understand." I look at her with a raised eyebrow for a moment or two and then just turn around. "Bye, Karen." She grabs my arm and at this point I am very careful. I'm a 6'5" man, and this is a tiny old woman. If I react to her grabbing me, even reflexively, it could be very bad. Karen. "You're not going anywhere, where is your manager?" I begin to say, but stop as I have an idea. With as tall as I am, I can easily see over the aisles and find the corner of the store that is furthest away from the cash registers. Hiding my smirk, I say, "Oh, he's over in the biographies section, it's over there." I point with my free arm to the back corner of the store. Karen tugs on my arm and says, "You're coming with me." But given my height and weight, I just stay firmly planted and watch this small woman try to drag me away. After about a minute, she huffs, face nearly purple with rage now as she says, "You wait here," and storms off to the back of the store. I do no such thing. Rather, I go and buy my books at the cash register. Just as the cashier is handing my bag and receipt, I hear, "There he is." I frown at that and turn to see that she has actually found the manager, who is looking confused. "Karen. That's the employee who shoved me." Having already received my books and knowing that no one there could do anything to actually stop me, I walked out of the store as the Karen tried to convince the manager that I was just so horrible to her. One of the employees tried to follow me out of the store and said I had to stay to sort this out, to which I replied, "No, I don't." I got in my car and left, not ever knowing how that turned out. I was never contacted by police, nor was I banned from the store, so clearly her claim didn't stick. I still visit this store regularly today and I have never seen this woman again. The next story is titled Squidward the Hotel Receptionist. This happened a few years ago, so my memory is a bit fuzzy. I was in a hotel in Spain, sitting in a hotel internet lounge. Now, I was aware staff would use the room and table I was sitting at occasionally, but for most of the day it was free for all guests to use. I was sitting at a table using my laptop when someone approached me. Now, since I was using a computer and the table was filled with leaflets of places for tourists to go, normally I'd understand why someone might assume I was hotel staff. However, I was in holiday clothing. Shorts for swimming, and a giant Squidward t-shirt that would be incredibly hard to miss. The guy asks for some information about a local attraction. Since I'm a guest with little knowledge of the area, all I could respond was, "Lo siento, pero no trabajo aquí." Sorry, I don't work here. The guy then makes an annoyed huff and turns around to leave. No big Karen fight like most stories here, just a confused tourist I guess. Still, I can't imagine any hotel allowing their staff to wear a Squidward shirt when working, especially given his attitude towards work. The next story is titled Wanted to share a story about a problem I used to have. So I live in West Virginia. I used to work for FedEx. Everyone is well aware of what a FedEx guy looks like, I'm sure. Shorts with reflective strips. Polo with purple, black and orange. Purple lanyard with dirty badge in the case. Hat with FedEx embroidered on the front. You get it. After work, I would regularly go to Walmart as it's on the way home and I'd get something for dinner or whatever. I cannot tell you how many times I've had someone ask me what aisle X food is on or if I could perform a price check or whatever. It was getting to the point where it happened so frequently that I stopped going to Walmart and I went to Kroger instead. Same exact issue. I'd go to get some sushi at the bar and someone would ask me to package up some yellowfin or some crap. I was 21 at the time, so maybe it was my appearance. It was incredibly obvious that I was a FedEx driver shopping for food. This happened 30+ times over the course of a year or two. Just discovered this sub and wanted to share. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.